I know you really want to wear those fashions again, don't you? Roxy Music sang about how love is a drug. And another 80s pop musician, you may remember, Robert Palmer, wrote about being addicted to love. As it turns out, love can really be a drug, according to new research that shows feelings of intense love can relieve pain. Researchers from Stanford University studied the link between love and pain by scanning the brains of 15 college students, all of whom professed to being deeply in love. The 8 women and 7 men were placed in brain scanners that tracked their body's response to pain. In this case, a heated probe that was placed in the palm of their hand. Then the researchers studied the brain's pain response under 3 different conditions. In one scenario, the study subject looked at a picture of an acquaintance. In another, the student looked at a picture of his or her beloved. And because other research has shown distraction can also relieve pain, the student was given a distracting word task. In this case, they were asked to name sports that don't use balls. Looking at a picture of a loved one reduced moderate pain by about 40% and eased severe pain by about 10 to 15% compared to viewing the picture of an acquaintance. The distraction task also provided similar levels of pain relief, but researchers noted that the analgesic effects of love and distraction occurred in different pathways of the brain. Love-induced analgesia was associated with the brain's reward center, where the pain relief resulting from distraction occurred mostly along cognitive pathways, the researchers said. The findings were published online, and other studies have shown that romantic love activates the brain's dopamine system, much as addictive behaviors like gambling or drug use do. Researchers speculate that looking at a photo of a romantic partner prompts the dopamine system to interact with other brain systems that release natural opioids or painkillers in the body, similar to those credited with the runner's high that can occur with exercise. The findings add to scientists' understanding of how the brain responds to discomfort and could lead to new treatments for from people suffering from chronic pain. And one of the men who conducted the study at Stanford said the findings support the theory that pain patients may find some relief by seeking out pleasurable activities. And he said, Dr. Mackey said, find things that give you pleasure in life, whether it be through the one you love or going to listen to great music or read a good book. It suggests that activating this intrinsic reward system ultimately can reduce your pain. He said that the research should also help doctors better assess the condition of their patients. When patients are doing markedly better, he said, and I find out they are in a new passionate relationship, I may be less likely to think that it's the new medication I put them on, he said. I realize that maybe it has nothing to do with me. Another writer, Liz Langley, has written about love and health. Her book, Crazy Little Thing, published in 2011, is about how love can be addictive because, as she says, your hormones and neurotransmitters make you do really stupid things. Last Sunday, I spoke in my sermon about how love hurts. So in contrast today, I want to share some thoughts about how we need love and how it is good for us. And I mentioned at the end of my sermon last week that some of us are not so good at self-love. As Starhawk writes, "For if that which you seek you find not within yourself, you will never find it without." There are indeed different kinds of love. The Greek word philosia is the way you love yourself. This kind of love needs to be balanced. There's self-love that is positive in self-esteem and makes for a happy self-confidence. That's good. We need to love ourselves and treat ourselves as valuable people, because doing so helps us take good care of ourselves and provides a base from which we can love others. Then there's arrogant and narcissistic self-love that can be destructive. It can overshadow the compassionate agape love and keep a person focused on themselves alone. That's not so good. Just this past week, the new U2 song, the Irish pop band U2, was released. And the title is, "You're the Best Thing About Me." You're the best thing about me. It reminds me of Dr. Evil saying to Mini-Me, "I love you, you complete me." And this kind of focus on what love can do for us can really trip us up. Make no mistake, we have needs that our relationships supply, but we are also fulfilling the needs of those we love. And all you need to realize is that there can be an imbalance. There's plenty of evidence showing how our narcissistic self-love uses people to get what we want. Just listen to pop music about romance and love, like the one we heard from Roxy Music. There's ample evidence that we can be addicted to love as long as it reassures us about who we are and gives us what we need. From the Rolling Stones back in the 60s with Mick Jagger singing about a girl who he can keep under my thumb, to Carly Simon's scathing, "You're so vain, you probably think this song is about you," we can see how people can be manipulative in order to keep someone in their lives and the havoc they can wreak with people's emotions. But let me remind you about the golden rule. Gosh, we've probably already almost forgotten about the golden rule in our society nowadays, but most of the major world faiths have a teaching about how to treat others. And here are only 3 versions. From Buddhism, do not do to others what would hurt you. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself is from the Jewish and Christian traditions. And from Islam, none of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. Think about that. How can we possibly treat another human being as we should if we do not take care of ourselves? Loving my neighbor demands I love myself. Blogger Justin Lind says we need to practice what he calls ruthless self-love. And that means, to him, finding the perfect balance between contentment with yourself as you are, yet always wanting to move forward, and then demonstrating so much love for who you are that you insist on the best presentation of yourself and your efforts in everything that you do. And finally, maintaining a continual growth mindset, not from feelings of inadequacy, but from love of what your future self can become. This is not an easy quality to cultivate, self-love, but it is the highest pursuit. So, when we attempt to love in a healthy manner, let's be clear about what it is we get out of relationships and what we give to them. There are several Greek words for love. I've already given you one, philosia, self-love. Because while we use one word in English, love, those Greek words define what the aim of relational love is. Eros is the passion that young lovers feel for each other. It's the romantic, head-over-heels love that's also connected with physical attraction. Ludus, or playful love, can be that kind of flirtatious love. Pragma, or long-standing love, is strong and sturdy. Philia is the love of deep friendship, and we hear it in the name of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Agape love the selfless love for other human beings, and we often refer to that love as compassion or empathy. It's worth reflecting on how you express love in all these different ways. And as I said when we had our chocolate communion, make sure you know in a relationship what the other person seeks, what kind of love that person wants. I would suggest in closing that love is not a wimpy, soppy, goofy kind of emotion. In fact, I recall when we were writing our mission statement here a few years ago, there was a discussion about whether love was one of the defining characteristics of this congregation, and that maybe it was too squishy. But of course, we know that it can take fierce love to protect those dear to us or those we see being oppressed. It can take revolutionary love, as Rebecca Parker tells us, to stand up to evil or injustice. We're good at that in this congregation. We don't hide our love. We wave it around and in the faces of those who would not love their neighbors as they love themselves. No, love ain't for sissies, we can safely say. It's sad when we look at the world and see what is missing. And so often love is missing. Tomorrow we mark 16 years since the attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93. The acts of terrorism enacted that day and others that have occurred so many times before and since. From the murder of Emmett Till to the Orlando Pulse nightclub victims, from Tennessee Valley UU Church to the Rohingya communities in Myanmar, from political assassinations in the Ukraine to mowing down people in the streets of Barcelona. These acts testify, if nothing else, to the need for the golden rule, for the need to choose love over hate. But what is present also, and what we have seen in countless compassionate acts in this country just since Hurricane Harvey, is when people choose to offer love over withholding love. And how desirable are the rewards of love when we choose, as Rebecca Parker says, to bless the world, when we choose to offer love over withholding love. We open our hearts and we are drawn into community. The companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the chorus of life welcoming you. How could we ever choose anything else?